To you, South African time. Thank you so much for joining us for this final lecture of this Cricket South Africa Level 1 umpiring course hosted by Western Province Cricket Umpires Association. My name is Abdullah Steenkamp, and my co-presenter for this evening, as usual, will be Tom Mukarosi. The format of tonight will be as follows. I will go through the revision slides. Okay, these revision slides contains all the slides that are in text in them. Right at the start, we said that all the text with them. So as part of our revision lecture, I will go through all slides that contains these green highlighted text. After that, I will hand over to Tom. Will then take some logistics for the as an exam demonstration. And then after that, we will open the floor for Q&A.
Abdullah,
so to kick off, the very first slide.
Sorry to interrupt. Your sound is breaking up today. I don't know if your connection is not that great, and there's no presentation on the screen.
Okay. I think it might be the Wi-Fi at the hotel that I'm currently in Bloemfontein. It is cloudy outside. It's also raining. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over from the hotel Wi-Fi to my data dongle that's built into my computer. I think once I've done that, the reception will be much better. If you can just bear with me while I switch from the hotel Wi-Fi data. Just give me a second. Thanks for that, Tom.
Thanks, Abdullah.
Tom, I've now switched over to my data. Are you able to see the slides as well as how is my audio?
Your audio is perfect now, Abdullah. It looks like you are displaying something, but it's black at the moment. So maybe just unshare and reshare.
I think I'm going to unshare and maybe switch off my camera as well, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, go for it.
Let me know. Are you able to see the protocol sheet, Tom?
Yes, it's now on screen and your audio is perfect. Thanks, Dula. Please go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Thank you so much. Just to go over the format of tonight's lecture again, I will go through all the slides that contain green highlighted text. There will be an exam question on all these green highlighted text. After that, I will hand over to Tom. Tom will go through a exam demonstration, as well as he'll go through some logistics. And after that, we will open the floor for Q&A. So law 1, the first slide that had green highlighted text was with regards to the number of players. And the law tells us that usually a game is played between 11 players aside. But If there is an agreement before the game, sides may play with fewer or even more than 11 players. But if that is the case, and especially if it's more than 11 players, not more than 11 players may field at any time. I'm going to skip all the white highlighted text. I'm only going to focus in this revision lecture on the green highlighted text. So with regards to the nomination and replacement of players, each captain to nominate his or her players in writing to one of the umpires before the toss. No player to be changed after the nomination without the consent of the opposing captain. You need consent of the opposing captain. Umpires does not have a say. The opposing captain needs to say yes or no. If yes, then player can be changed. If the opposing captain say no, unfortunately, you then cannot change the player. Under law 2, the umpires to be present at the ground and report to the executive at least 45 minutes before the start of each day's play. So if play starts at 10 o'clock, umpires needs to be at the ground at least 9:15 according to the laws of cricket. There are many duties that the umpires needs to perform, hence the reason why the umpires needs to be at the ground at least, according to the law, 45 minutes before play is about to start. Are you allowed to change an umpire during the game? Yes, the law allows for the umpire to change. An umpire can become injured or ill. The law allows for it. But the law puts certain conditions on it. The law tells us that. So if there is a change of umpire, the replacement umpire shall only act as the strikers in umpire. So the replacement umpire only to stand as strikers in. But or unless both captains agree that this replacement umpire can take full responsibility as an umpire, and if both captains agree, no issue, then the replacement umpire can then take full part in this game, i.e. can stand at bowler's end as well. But if there's no agreement, the captains does not agree, the replacement umpire only to stand at striker's end. Who is the judges of fair and unfair play? Captains? Is it coaches? No. Umpires alone. They are the sole judges of fair and unfair play. When it comes to the fitness of play, who do you think decides on the fitness of play? Is it the captains, coaches, players? Again, the law tells us that solely for the umpires, and they together needs to decide whether the conditions of either ground, weather, light, or any exceptional circumstances mean that it would be dangerous or unreasonable for play to take place. So umpires together and they alone to decide whether the field is fit for play. So law tells us that. So now if play is in progress and the umpires do not agree about conditions, they shall immediately suspend play. I'll give you an example to illustrate what the law is trying to say, and I'll use, let's say it's late in the day and bad light is setting in. The light is fading, it's getting worse and worse. Umpires look at each other. One umpire say, I think the light is still good enough to play in. The other umpire feels, I think it's too dark to play in. So law guides us by saying, if the umpires do not agree, and in my example, the umpires do not agree because one think it's still the light is still good, the other umpire think light is not fit enough to play in. If they don't agree, they need to suspend play immediately. They need to escort the players off the field and suspend play. So when it comes to the position of the umpires, where do the umpires stand? We're focusing here, and there is an exam question on the strikers in umpire, where the law tells us the strikers in umpire needs to stand on the onside of the pitch. That is where the strikers in umpire needs to stand 99% of the time. But the law allows the strikers in umpire to stand on the offside, because there are sometimes like the late setting sun or fielders in short leg fielders in the strikers in umpire's way, and it would then be better for the strikers in umpire to go stand on the offside. So if circumstances warrant it, the strikers in umpire can go stand on the offside. And if the strikers in umpire decide to go stand on the offside, he or she needs to inform the captain of the fielding side, the striker, and the other umpire. So there are 3 individuals that the strikers in umpire needs to inform if he or she decides to go stand on the off side. Just an exam tip. So on this question, you see that the law tells us umpire, the strikers in umpire, if he or she decides to go stand on the offside, needs to inform 3 individuals. So in the exam question, you need to read carefully. For the question to be correct, all 3 individuals needs to be there. You need to inform the captain of the fielding side, the striker, and the other umpire. Let's say in an example, they tell you if the strikers in umpire stand on the offside, the strikers in umpire only needs to inform the other umpire. Yeah, so technically, the answer is correct, but that's just one of the 3. For this answer to be 100% correct, you need to inform all 3 and not just one. That's just a small exam tip that I'm giving you. So when it comes to the scorers, 2 scorers to be appointed to the game. And what do scorers do? They record all runs scored. They need to record all wickets taken. And they need to record the number of overs that are bowled in the match. When it comes to the ball, so in modern cricket, in a 5-day test match cricket, which is played over more than 1 innings. So the law allows for a new ball to be taken after how many overs is bowled? After 80 overs is bowled. So I'll use an example. In our test match, let's say South Africa is playing India. South Africa batting first, so India bowling. So after 80 overs, you've now bowled 80 overs with the ball. There is the option for the fielding captain to ask for a new ball. The option is there. The fielding captain does not have to exercise the option, but after 80 overs, the option is there to take a new ball. If the fielding captain, after 80 overs, decides to take the new ball, no issue. The umpires will then hand the new ball to the fielding side. But again, it's the option is there to take. If the fielding side decide they do not want to exercise the option, no issue. They can continue with the old ball, but only after 80 overs has been bowled. When it comes to the bat, there is an exam question with regards to the size of the bat and especially the length of the bat. So the law tells us that when it comes to the overall length of the bat do not be more than 96.52 centimeters. Not more than 96.52 centimeters. When it comes to the creases, in the exam, there are 10 marks when it comes to creases and the names of the creases as well as their dimensions. So just go study the names, the markings, and you should get 10 out of 10 when it comes to creases. So creases, how many creases are there? There are 3 creases. There's the popping crease, there are 2 return creases, and there's the bowling crease. With my arrow, this is the popping crease. This, the return crease, there are 2 of them. This is the one, and on the other side is the other return crease, and then there is the bowling crease. So now you now know what the names of the creases are. And again, 3 free marks I'm giving you. There's going to be a diagram. They're going to ask you the name of the creases. There's only 3 of them. That's free marks I'm giving you. So now also, the other 7 marks are the dimensions or the length of these creases. So to go through the length of these creases, I'll start with the popping crease. Minimum length of the popping crease. The popping crease can go right up until the boundary on either side. But all the law tell us there's a minimum length of the popping crease. And that minimum length is 3.66 meters. The return crease, or there are 2 of them, so return creases. Minimum length of the return crease is 2.44 meters. The return creases can also go right up until the boundary, but usually we don't mark it that long. All the law tell us the minimum length to be 2.44 meters. And then there's the bowling crease, which is an exact length, and the bowling crease is 2.64 meters. Another important length is the length from the bowling crease up until the popping crease, and that length is 1.22 meters. So just to go over the length again, and I'm going to start with the length from the bowling crease up until the popping crease. So what is that length? If you look at the left-hand side crease, that length is 1.22 meters. You measure that length from, if you look at the arrow, from the back edge of the return crease up until, from the back edge of the bowling crease up until the back edge of the popping crease. That is where you measure it from, and that is the length it should be, 1.22 meters. Back edge of bowling crease up until back edge of popping crease. So that is 1.22 meters. So just a tip and how I memorize the length. This 1.22 meters. If I multiply 1.22 by 2, what do I get? I get 2.44 meters. Which crease's length is 2.44 meters? The return crease. So I can derive the return crease length from the length from the bowling crease up until the popping crease. So 1.22 meters times 2 is 2.44 meters. Now let's go to the popping crease. If I take 1.22 meters and I multiply it by 3, what do I get? Correct, I get 3.66 meters. So now I just memorized this one length from the back edge of the bowling crease up until the back edge of the popping crease. That is 1.22 meters. And from that number, I can derive my minimum length of my return crease, which is 2.44 meters. And then I can also derive my minimum length of my popping crease by multiplying 1.22 times 3. And I get my minimum length, which is 3.66 meters. When it comes to the bowling crease, this is an exact measurement, and it's measured from the inside edge of the 2 return creases. If you follow the arrow, you can see from the inside edge of the one return crease up until the inside edge of the other return crease. That is what the bowling crease measurement is, and it is 2.64 meters. In the exam, you can see on the picture, we do have imperial as well as the metric measurements. I prefer imperial. Most measurement types these days are I prefer the metric. Most measurement types are metric. But in your exam, if you put the length of the popping crease to be 12 feet, no issue. It will be marked correctly. But I prefer the metric measurement. Another clue that I can give you for the exam, please look at, when you look at the diagram in your exam, please look at the arrow. Look at where the arrows are pointing, because that's going to give you a clue on the measurement of the creases. So what I mean by that is, if you look at our bowling crease, for example, if the arrow of our bowling crease shows it's from the inside edge of the return crease right till the next till the inside edge of the return crease on the opposite side, then they want the full length of the bowling crease, which is 2.64 meters. But if the arrow shows only from the middle stump to the back edge of the return crease. So if it's only from middle stump to the back edge of the return crease, what are they now looking for? They're now not looking for the full length of the bowling crease. They're looking for half, so which is 1.32 meters. Look at the arrows carefully. Same principle will apply to, let's say, the popping crease. If you look at where the arrow is, if the arrow is from the middle stump to the side, they're only looking for half. But if the arrow is like in this picture, with the one arrow being on the one side and way on the other side is the other arrow, then they're looking for the full length of the popping crease, which is 3.66 meters. But if it's from the middle stump, they're only looking for half. So look at where the arrow starts, where it ends. That's a tip in the exam. So I've given you now 10 free points in the exam. When it comes to law 9, which covers the maintenance of the playing area, the exam question is about the timing of the mowing. So when it comes to mowing of the pitch, to be completed not later than 30 minutes before the scheduled starting time. So if our match starts at 10 o'clock, mowing needs to be done by 9:30. Cannot mow the pitch till after 9:30. When it comes to rolling of the pitch, now this rolling refers to after the game has started. So when it comes to the rolling of the pitch after the game has started, firstly, the law tells us the batting captain can request rolling for a period of not more than 7 minutes. So if the captain asks for 5 minutes of rolling, well, are you going to allow it? Yes, you're going to allow it. If the captain asks for 3 minutes of rolling, are you going to allow it? Yes, of course. All the law tells us not more than 7 minutes. So only if the captain tells you, umpire, I would like rolling, give me your biggest roller, and I want you to roll for 9 minutes. Then you're going to inform the captain, you're allowed rolling, but only for a max of 7 minutes. And this rolling is before the start of each innings, other than the first innings of the game, and before the start of each subsequent day's play. When it comes to intervals, there is an exam question that's going to ask you about what are scheduled intervals according to the laws of cricket. The first one is the period between close of play on day 1 and the start of the next day's play. That's an example of a scheduled interval. Your interval between innings, which is 10 minutes, also an example of a scheduled interval. Interval for meals, these are lunch and your tea interval. scheduled interval. Interval for drinks, also scheduled. And lastly, any other agreed interval. Also an example of a scheduled interval. I mentioned in the previous slide, the interval between innings. How long is it? Interval between innings to be 10 minutes. So if South Africa gets bowled out at 11:12, the first ball needs to be bowled in the Indian innings at 11:22. 10 minutes is the interval between innings. So if an innings ends when 10 minutes or less remaining before the agreed close of play time, there shall be no further play on that day. I'll give an example to illustrate this. Our close of play, let's say it's 5 o'clock in our test match. At 16:52, South Africa gets bowled out. What do you do next? You follow the law, and the law tells us if an innings ends 10 minutes or less before the close of play time. So in our example, our close of play is 1700 hours, 16:52, South Africa was dismissed. So that is 10 minutes or less before the close of play. It will be close of play for that day. So at 16:52, you're not coming back. It is close of play for that day. Yes, we finished 8 minutes earlier, but the law guides us by saying we will not start 8 minutes earlier the following day because of this 8 minutes that we ended earlier. We mentioned in the lectures that the law is flexible. The law allows you to change your agree time for your interval if certain events happens. So the first thing is when it comes to changing your agree time for your tea interval, if an innings ends when 30 minutes or less remains before the agree time for tea, tea shall be taken immediately. You will have a change of innings interval, and that change of innings will be incorporated into your tea interval. An example of this, let's say our tea time is 3 o'clock. At 14:35, India gets bowled out. What happens next? Law tells us we will take tea immediately. Why? Because India was dismissed, i.e. the innings ended 30 minutes or less to tea, and in this case it's 25 minutes to tea, and because the law tells us if it's 30 minutes or less, we need to take an early tea. So our tea time will be from 14:35 up until 14:55, and we will incorporate our change of innings interval into the tea interval. Again, a time-saving mechanism that the lawmakers introduced into the laws, where they say, we all know if a side is 9 wickets down, most of the time that 10th wicket, they don't bat for length of time. Sometimes they do, but most of the time they don't. So the lawmakers recognize this, and just to save a bit of time, to maximize play during the day, the lawmakers decided that if a side is already 9 down, or if the 9th wicket falls up until in the final over, what do you need to do? You will delay your tea by a max of 30 minutes. You will not take tea time. I'll use an example just to illustrate this. Our tea time, let's say, is 3 o'clock. At 14:57, South Africa is 300 for the loss of 9 wickets. The over gets bowled. The over now gets completed at 15:01, with South Africa being on 305 for 9. Are you going to take tea time, seeing that the tea time is 3 o'clock? No, you're not going to take tea. Why? Because South Africa is 9 wickets down. You're going to delay your tea time by a further 30 minutes. So you're going to play up until 15:30. Unless India managed to take the 10th wicket before then. If they do, let's say they take the 10th wicket at 15:10,
you will then take tea immediately, and tea time will be from 15:10 up until 15:30, and your change of innings interval will be incorporated into the tea time. Let's say they don't take the 10th wicket in that 30 minutes. So now you get to 15:30 and South Africa's still 9 down. What happens now? You will now take tea at 15:30. So at the end of the over, you look at your watch, you see it's 15:30. You will then take tea time. Tea time will then be from 15:30 till 15:50. When it comes to the interval for drinks, all the law tell us your drinks interval not to be more than 5 minutes. So your drinks interval can be 3 minutes, 4 minutes. In Test cricket, it is 4 minutes. But all the law tell us is when it comes to drinks interval, they don't tell you exactly how long it should be, but it should not be more than 5 minutes. So when it comes to completion of an over, before I get to point number 2, let me just want to cover point number 1 first. So other than at the end of the game, if the agreed time for an interval is reached during the over, you need to complete that over. So an example to illustrate point number 1, you get our lunchtime is at 12 o'clock. You get to 11:58 and it's now the end of the over. Can you take lunch? No, you cannot take lunch because it's only 11:58. So you'll start a new over. So let's say you bowl 4 balls and you look at your watch now and you see it is now exactly 12 o'clock. Do you take lunch now, seeing that your watch saying it's 12 o'clock? No, you don't take lunch because point number 1 tells us we need to complete that over. So we need to bowl that 2 balls. So at the end of that 2 balls, let's say it finishes at 12:01. Now you take lunch and your lunchtime will be 40 minutes from 12:01 and the first ball needs to be bowled after lunch at 12:41. Okay, there is an exception, and that's when we get to point number 2. So now we know we need to complete the over before taking lunch. But again, to maximize time, the law tells us if less than 3 minutes remains before the agreed time for, in our example, your lunch interval, you'll take the interval immediately if a batter is dismissed or a batter retires or the player needs to leave the field, even if it's in the middle of the over. After the interval, you'll come back and complete the over. I'll use an example just to illustrate this. Our lunchtime is at 12 o'clock. At 11:58 on the 4th ball of the innings, 11:58, 4th ball, a batter gets dismissed, let's say clean bowled. It's now 11:58, which is 2 minutes to lunch. Do we take lunch? And we only bowled 4 balls in the over. So what point number 2 is telling us, so when less than 3 minutes remains, and in our example, we are less than 3 minutes to go to lunch, we will take lunch immediately. Our lunchtime will then be from 11:58 up until 12:38 when that first ball needs to be bowled. So we've only bowled 4 balls in our over in our example. So when we return after lunch at 12:38, we will first complete the over. So there are still 2 balls to be bowled. We'll bowl the 2 balls and then we'll start a new over. When it comes to the toss, let's discuss who needs to be there according to the law. Where does it needs to take place? And what are the timings of the toss? So who needs to be there? Captains needs to be there, both captains. Where does it happen? Anywhere on the field of play, anywhere inside the rope, over the rope. Although customary, the toss takes place right next to the match pitch. That's custom, but the law tell us anywhere on the field of play. So both captains needs to be there, anywhere on the field of play. And in terms of umpires, the law wants at least 1 umpire to be there. Both preferably, but at least 1. So now we know who needs to be there. We know now where it takes place. So what are the timings? There's a window period for your toss. Not earlier than 30 minutes, not later than 15 minutes before play is about to start. So if in our test match on day 1, 10 o'clock is our starting time, what is the window period for the toss to take place? Anytime between 9:30 and 9:45. That is our window period. Then now the toss took place. Let's say captain of South Africa won the toss. And as soon as the captain winning the toss, that captain needs to notify the opposing captain immediately. Okay, captain cannot say, so wait a few minutes, I want to consult my coach, I'll get back to you in 2-3 minutes. No, as soon as the toss is completed, whichever captain wins the toss needs to notify the opposing captain and the umpires immediately whether to bat or bowl. And once notified, that decision cannot be changed. When it comes to the follow-on, so in 5-day test match, the lead needs to be at least 200 runs to have the captain of the side batting first the option of asking the side to follow on. The lead needs to be at least 200 runs. That is our 5-day test match or 5 days or more. When it comes to not all more-day cricket are played over 5 days, there are some games that's played over 3 or 4 days. So what the lead needs to be in the 3 or 4 day game, there the lead needs to be at least 150. In a 2-day match, at least 100 the lead needs to be, and in a 1-day match the lead needs to be at least 75 runs. So what happens if the first day's play is lost? And here I want to put the emphasis on the first day's play. No play took place on the first day of our test match. And if no play took place on the first day, then this point number 3 comes into effect. So in our 5-day test match between South Africa and India, on day 1, no play takes place. Not a single ball was bowled due to inclement weather. It rained the whole day. So now we start on the morning of day 2 at 10 o'clock. So now in terms of the follow-on target, what do the lead needs to be? Now the law guides us by telling us, if the first day, and it must be the first day's play is lost, if that is the case, then in our game, the follow-on target will now be not 200 anymore, it will now be 150. Because technically our game is now a 4-day game. And we saw on the previous slide, in a 3 or 4-day game, the lead needs to be at least 150 runs. So that's why in our example, because the first day's play is lost, now 4 days remaining, so our lead needs to be at least 150. And again, the emphasis on it must be the first day's play that is lost. If in our 5-day test match, play starts on time on day 1, we have a whole day, day 1, that we played. Day 2, day 3, and day 4 gets rained out, and we only start again on day 5. So technically, our test match is only over 2 days. So what do we do now? In this case, what will be what does the lead needs to be in terms of the follow-on? It stays 200 runs. Why does it stay 200 runs? Even though technically this is only a 2-day test match, because this law only comes into effect if the first day's play is lost. Whole of the first day. In our example, or this last example, which days were lost? It was day 2, 3, and 4. We started on time. Our first day, we had a full day. And for that reason, even though it's only 2 days, our follow-on or the lead needs to be, the lead stays at 200 runs. When it comes to declaration, captain of the batting side may declare an innings closed whenever the ball is dead during that innings. The over. When does an over start? Law guides us by telling us that an over starts as soon as the bowler begins his or her run up. So if you can visualize, let's say you visualize a fast bowler standing at the top of his or her mark. As soon as the bowler takes that first step, that is when that over starts. Not all bowlers has a run up. So the law also allows for those bowlers that doesn't have a run up. So when does that over start? The law tells us that that over starts as soon as the back foot land for the first delivery. But that's I haven't seen a bowler with no run up, but there are bowlers that has no run up. We now know is when the back foot lands, that's when the over starts. But usually the bowlers have run ups. When does the over start? As soon as the bowler gives his or her first step, that's when the over starts. So when it comes to boundaries, the question in the exam is about the white line and the edge of the line nearest to the pitch. That shall be your boundary. So to illustrate point number 1, that's highlighted in green. Let me go to the next slide. So if you look at the next slide, where's the boundary? The inside edge, if you look at the rope, the inside edge where the arrow is pointing. Same principle applies to the fence, to the line, to the rope, to the post, and to the flags. Dead ball. The ball can either automatically becomes dead, or the umpire needs to call and signal dead ball. There are 8 ways how the ball automatically becomes dead, and there are 14 ways how when the umpire needs to call and signal dead ball. Lots of players don't know the law, so you can actually call and signal dead ball on all these 18 points that the law covers. But in terms of the exam, there's a question: when does the ball automatically becomes dead? When it finally settles in the hands of the wicketkeeper or of the bowler. The ball automatically becomes dead when it finally settles in the hands of the wicketkeeper or of the bowler. There's an exam question on this. When it comes to no ball and the feet, for exam purposes, we're going to focus on the feet because there will be diagrams in your exam that you need to look at, and you need to indicate whether it's a no ball or it's a fair delivery. So when it comes to the feet, and we'll start with the back foot, which crease goes with the back foot? The return crease goes with the back foot. So the law tells us when it comes to the back foot should not be touching the return crease. When it comes to the front foot, which crease do we look at? We look at the popping crease when it comes to the front foot. So now we know when it comes to the back foot and the return crease should not be touching. But what does the law say when it comes to the front foot? So the law wants the bowler's front foot, and there needs to be part of that front foot, whether either ground or raised, to be behind the popping crease. So upon first landing, there needs to be part of the front foot, whether grounded or raised, behind the popping crease. If that is the case, fair delivery. If not, it should be a no ball. Also, when it comes to the landing of the front foot, and if you can visualize an imaginary line from middle stump to middle stump, the law wants that front foot to be on the same side of the imaginary line joining the two middle stump. If that is not the case, also need to call and signal no ball. We're going to go through a few picks to illustrate exactly when it comes to the feet how the law works. So when it comes to the back foot, which crease goes with the back foot? The return crease. So looking at the back foot, is the back foot, and this is a right arm bowler bowling over the wicket, is the return crease, the back foot touching the return crease? Yes, it is. And for this reason, this you need to call and signal no ball. And the reason is back foot touching the return crease. Just for interesting sake, the front foot, you'll see the front foot is behind the popping crease. So we're happy with the front foot. Let's start here with the front foot. And what is the question that we need to ask ourselves when it comes to the front foot? Is there any part of the front foot, whether grounded or raised, upon first landing behind the popping crease? In this picture, yes, the whole front foot is behind the popping crease. So we have no issue with the front foot. Now looking at the back foot, what's the question that we need to ask ourselves? Is the part of the back foot touching the return crease? In this instance, no. There's no part of the back foot touching the return crease, and for that delivery, for that reason, this is a fair delivery. Yes, there's a portion of the back foot going over the return crease, but it's not touching the return crease. The back foot is raised. The law wants the back foot to touch the return crease. So visualize this. This is a left-arm bowler bowling around the wicket. So if you can start with the back foot, what is the question we ask ourselves? Is there any part of the back foot touching the return crease? No, there's not. Looking at the front foot, is there any part of the front foot with a grounded or raised behind the popping crease? Yes, there's a big part. So this is a fair delivery. Let's start with the front foot. Is the part of the front foot with a grounded or raised behind the back edge of the popping crease? Yes, we're happy with the front foot. Back foot. Is the back foot touching the return crease? Yes, it is. And for that reason, this is a no ball. Back foot. Is the back foot touching the return crease? No, we're happy with the back foot. Front foot. Is the part of the front foot with a grounded or raised behind the back edge of the return crease? Yes, there is a portion of the front foot behind the back edge of the return of the popping crease. That's why this is a fair delivery. Just to confirm again, is the with regards to the front foot, is the part of the front foot with the grounded or raised behind the back edge of the popping crease? In this picture, yes, that's why it's a fair delivery. Back foot, is the back foot touching the return crease? No, it's not. So we're happy with the back foot. Front foot, is the part of the front foot with the grounded or raised behind the back edge of the popping crease? No, there's not. And for this reason, this is a no ball because there's no part of the front foot behind the back edge of the popping crease. Back foot, is the back foot touching the return crease? No, it's not. So we're happy with the back foot. Front foot, is there any part of the front foot with the grounded or raised behind the back edge of the popping crease? No, there's not. And for this reason, this is a no ball. But looking at this pic, what I want to emphasize is what you need to judge is first landing of the front foot. And that is where you ask yourself the question, is there any part of the front foot with the grounded or raised behind the back edge of the popping crease? You need to look at first landing and not where the foot ends up, because often you'll find a bowler front foot sliding. So you do not judge it where the foot ends up. Let's, for argument's sake, just another scenario, looking at this pic. Let's say this is where the foot ended up, but when the front foot landed, it was actually, there was a portion behind the package of the popping crease. In that case, it would be a fair delivery. You look at first landing of the front foot, and then you ask yourself, is there any portion of the front foot grounded or raised behind the popping crease? If yes, then fair delivery. But in this example, let's say this is first landing. That is why there's no part of the front foot grounded or raised behind the package of the popping crease, hence no ball. Back foot, no, not touching the return crease, happy. Front foot, is there any part of the front foot where the grounded or raised behind the back edge of the popping crease? Yes, fair delivery. Back foot, happy, not touching the return crease. Front foot, any part of the front foot where the grounded or raised touching the return, any part of the front foot where the grounded or raised behind the back edge of the popping crease? No, there's not, i.e. no ball. So what happens if a ball bounces more than once or it rolls along the ground? And the emphasis here is bouncing more than once. The law tells us if a ball bounces more than once, either umpire to call and signal no ball if that second bounce or it started to roll along the ground before reaching the popping crease. So that second bounce needs to be before reaching the popping crease. If yes, either umpire to call and signal no ball. When it comes to wide ball, the calling and the signaling of wide, Umpire needs to delay that calling and signaling of wide, and he needs to wait as soon as the ball passes the striker's wicket. The reason for that is sometimes you'll find, the striker playing, a late cut shot. You don't want to call it too early. Now you call wide, and the striker late cuts it to third man. Wait till it passes the striker's wicket before calling and signaling wide. But yes, you do need to wait until it passes the striker's wicket. But technically, according to the law sees the ball to be wide from the instant that the bowler's entered his or her delivery stride already. That is technically when the ball is wide already. But even though it's technically from that moment wide already, you need to delay your call of wide until it passes the striker's wicket. How can you be dismissed of a wide? This exam question on this, and there are 4 ways to be dismissed of a wide. Firstly, hit wicket. Secondly, obstructing the field. Thirdly, run out. And lastly, stumped. These are the 4 ways to be dismissed of a wide. When it comes to fielder's absence and substitutes, when it comes to a substitute fielder, when do the umpire allow a substitute fielder? Umpire needs to be satisfied that a fielder has been injured or became ill, and this occurred during this particular game. So the criteria to use, the conditions is fielder that became injured or ill, and this injury or illness occurred during this particular game. If that is the case, umpire to allow a substitute fielder. And another reason why umpire can allow a substitute fielder for any wholly acceptable reason. Fielder absent or leaving the field of play. Well, our focus here is going to be on penalty time and also max penalty time. So the law allows, if a fielder comes to you and say he is injured, the law tell us, yes, no problem. You will allow the fielder to go get treatment, but there are certain practical steps that you need to follow. The fielder needs to come to you and inform you that he or she is leaving and the reason why he or she is leaving. You need to write that down in your notebook, and you also need to write down the time the fielder is leaving. You need to tell that fielder and his or her captain that when they come back after receiving treatment, they need to inform you when they're coming back. So they need your consent when they're coming back. And once they've given you, let's say, heads up, umpire, I'm coming back, you need to write down the time that injured fielder now came back onto the field of play. Why is that important? Why do you need to write when the fielder went off? Why is it important when the fielder comes back? Because there's a concept in the law known as penalty time. So that amount of time that the player was off the field, before that player can bat or bowl, that player needs to be on the field of play for that same amount of time. So let's say a player leaves the field at 10:30, comes back at 10:50, or for 20 minutes. When that player comes back on, you need to inform that player that, player, you were off the field for 20 minutes. You can only bowl at, and you're returning now at 10:50, you can bowl again at 11:10. So you'll inform the player and you'll inform the fielding captain. So when it comes to penalty time, there's a max of 90 minutes. So even if a player is off the field for 4 hours, excuse me, for 4 hours getting treatment, let's say on a hamstring, the max penalty time that a player can serve is 90 minutes. Max 90 minutes penalty time. Penalty time doesn't disappear. Penalty time will get carried forward into the next innings or into subsequent days. It never disappears. Sometimes you'll find players going off on more than one occasion. You will always add up penalty time. They don't disappear. If a player was off for an hour, a player now comes back, now on the field for 10 minutes. Now the player tells you, I need to go off again. You add up all those times that the player is off the field, and that total play penalty time, that player needs to serve that total play penalty time before he or she is allowed to bowl. Scheduled intervals does not get added to the penalty time a player owes. Let's say at lunchtime a player owes you 20 minutes penalty time. So it's now 12 o'clock is our lunchtime. We return at 12:40. That player comes back with his or her side at 12:40. You will not add the 20 minutes, the 40 minutes lunch interval to the player's penalty time, and then after lunch you'll tell the player, you now owe us 60 minutes penalty time, which is 20 minutes that you owed us when lunch started, and we're adding the lunch interval of 40 minutes. Now you owe 60. You do not add the any scheduled interval to any penalty time. I mentioned earlier, with penalty time being carried forward into the next innings and into subsequent days' play. When it comes to appeals, and in terms of the timing of the appeals, for an appeal to be valid, it must be made before the bowler begins his or her run-up, or if there's no run-up, his or her bowling action, and before time was called. So there's a window period that an appeal is still valid, and that window period needs to is before the bowler begins his or her run-up for the next delivery. Also, and call of over does not invalidate an appeal. If it call of over does not invalidate an appeal that's made prior to the start of the following over, provided that time has not been called. So even if you call over, as long as the bowler hasn't started his or her run up for the first delivery of the next over, that appeal is still valid. When I'll go through a few dismissal laws, and I will end at law number 40 before I hand over to Tom. The first dismissal law that we're covering tonight is court. Let's look at a video.
Fair catch. A catch shall be considered fair if the ball is held in a fielder's hand, hugged to the body of the catcher, or accidentally lodges in his or her clothing, helmet, or protective equipment. But of course, this being cricket, it isn't always that simple. If a fielder deliberately uses an item of clothing to try to catch the ball, it is not out, and 5 penalty runs are awarded to the batting side. However, the ball can be caught after it has deflected off the other batsman, an umpire, another fielder, including off a helmet being worn, or even if it lodges in a fielder's helmet. Perhaps the main criterion for a catch to be considered fair is that the ball must not touch the ground before being caught. Here, for example, the ball does not touch the ground even though the hand holding it does so in effecting the catch. This is a fair catch. And then there is the question of catches near the boundary. This is such an interesting subject that we've given it a film all of its own. To catch up on everything to do with catching, simply refer to Law 33 in the Blue Book.
Court to take precedence over any other dismissal except bold. So bold will always be number 1. Court is number 2. So meaning, let's say, of the same delivery, the batter is out caught and the batter hit his or her wicket. So how's the batter out? Is it hit a wicket or is it out caught? The law tells us batter will be out caught because court takes precedence over any other dismissal except bold. Bold number 1, court number 2. Leg before wicket. Let's look at a video.
Leg before wicket. LBW. LBW is a little like the offside rule in football. Many people claim to know it, but how many people really do? Our handy checklist means that whether you find yourself umpiring an international test match or the kids on the beach, your reputation for fairness will remain intact. There are 5 basic criteria to consider. The batsman is out, leg before wicket, if 1. The bowler bowls a ball that isn't a no ball, unlike this poor fellow. 2. The ball, if it is not intercepted on the full, pitches in line between wicket and wicket or on the offside of the batsman's wicket. It cannot be out if the ball pitches outside the line of the leg stump. 3. The ball hits the batsman either full pitch or after pitching and before he hits it with his bat. 4. This is where it gets a bit more complicated. If the batsman was making a genuine attempt to play the ball, the point of impact must be between wicket and wicket for LBW to be an option. However, if the batsman has made no genuine attempt to play the ball, the contact must either be between wicket and wicket or outside the line of the off stump. 5. This is the crucial part. But for the interception by the batsman, the ball would have gone on to hit the stumps and dislodge the bails. Any questions? Just refer to Law 36 in the Blue Book.
So let's go through those points that you consider when there's an LBW appeal. So usually on the field of play, these points go through your mind in a split second, but let's go through them slowly. Ball not to be a no ball. It needs to be pitching in line between wicket and wicket or on the offside of the wicket. So when it comes to pitching, it needs to be in line, i.e. between wicket and wicket or on the offside. And for this reason, the law says if it pitches outside leg stump, can never be out LBW, because bullet point number 2 is clear when it comes to pitching. It either needs to pitch between wicket and wicket or on the offside of the wicket. The moment it pitches on the leg side, can never be out LBW. Ball to not have touched the bat first. If it touched the bat first, also can never be given out LBW. You can consider an LBW appeal if it touched the pad first or the person first and then the bat. Then you can consider it. But if it touched the bat first, then can never be out LBW. Also, when it comes to intercepting the ball, any part of the striker's person. Yes, I know it's LBW, leg before wicket, but the law say any part of the person. When it comes to the point of impact, the point of impact needs to be between wicket and wicket or on the offside of the wicket. So, but there's an exception. Let me just go through point of impact again. When it comes to the point of impact, the law wants it to be between wicket and wicket. Full stop. If the point of impact is not between wicket and wicket, not out LBW. But there's one exception. If the striker has not made a genuine attempt to play at the ball, then the impact can be between wicket and wicket or on the offside of the wicket. That's the only exception. Otherwise, when it comes to impact and a batter is playing a shot, that impact must be between wicket and wicket. The only exception is if there's no shot played. And then lastly, the ball need to have gone on to hit the wicket. After going through these 6 points and you get to your last bullet point and you ticked all these boxes and your last bullet point, you're happy that that ball would have gone on to hit the wicket, give the striker out LBW. Let's go through a few slides and apply the law. Right-handed batsman, where's this ball pitching? It's pitching outside the leg stump of this right-handed batter, and for that reason, because he's pitching outside leg, can never be out LBW. Let's go through our points. Where did this ball pitch? Did it pitch between wicket and wicket or on the offside of the wicket? Yes, it pitched between wicket and wicket. Impact. Was the impact between wicket and wicket? Yes, the impact was between wicket and wicket. What is that last question? Would it have gone on to hit the stumps? If your question to that answer is yes, give the batter out. If no, not out. Where did it pitch? Did it pitch between wicket and wicket or on the offside? It pitched on the offside. The impact. Was the impact between wicket and wicket? No, the impact was not between wicket and wicket. This impact is outside off or outside the line, and the batter is playing a shot. And for that reason, this cannot be out LBW, impact outside the line, batter playing a shot. So in this scenario, where did it pitch? Pitching on the offside. So we're happy with the way it pitched. Where was the impact? The impact was outside off stump. It was not between wicket and wicket. But you can see batter not offering a shot. So because the batter is not offering a shot, you now can consider this LBW appeal. But you need to ask yourself the question, would it have gone on to hit the wicket? If your answer to this question is yes, give the batter out LBW. If the answer to the question is no, not out LBW. Where did it pitch? Between wicket and wicket. Where was the impact? Between wicket and wicket. What's that last question? Would it have gone on to hit the stumps? If yes, out. If no, not out. Where did it pitch? Yes, it pitched between wicket and wicket. Where did it hit? Yes, it hit between wicket and wicket. But there are also other factors that you need to take into account. So just visualize this is a left-arm bowler bowling over the wicket. So it pitched in line. It then hit the batter in line. But look at the stride. We know the popping crease is 1.22 meters from the stumps. There's another stride in. This is probably about 1.5 meters that the ball still needs to travel. Look at the trajectory of the ball. It's going across this batter. Still needs to travel 1.5 meters. I think this is missing off stump. This is not hitting the wicket. It's my opinion. LBW is a opinion law. My opinion is this is missing off stump. Where did it pitch? On the offside. Where was the impact? Impact was between wicket and wicket. What is the last question that we need to ask ourselves? Would it have gone on to hit the stumps? If your answer to that question is yes, give the batter out LBW. If no, not out LBW. But you do need to consider other points as well. Look at where the ball pitched. Look at how much it came back. Look at the stride of the batter. Look at the traveling distance it still needs to travel. I think this ball is missing leg stump. That's my opinion. Where did it pitch? On the offside. Where did it hit? Yes, between wicket and wicket. But look where it hit. Fairly high on the pad. Top of the flap. I don't think this would have gone on to hit the wicket. I think this is going over the top. That's my opinion. Second and last law, before I hand over to Tom.
Stumped. All batsmen fear being stumped, and all wicket-keepers dream of stumping batsmen. So let's be clear about the law. The only player who can stump a batsman is this fellow, the wicket-keeper. A stumping can take place provided that the ball is not a no ball. You can be stumped off a wide, however. Here, for example, the batsman has moved out of his or her ground to play the ball, but has missed it and has not attempted a run. The wicket is fairly put down by the wicket-keeper without the intervention of another fielder. When all these conditions are met, the batsman will find that he or she has indeed been stumped. It's also okay for the ball to rebound onto the stumps off any part of the wicket-keeper, including his or her protective equipment or helmet. If it is a no ball, the batsman will not be out-stumped and is also protected from being run out as long as he or she is not attempting a run. Don't be stumped about stumping. Get a copy of the Blue Book and study Law 39.
The last law that I'm covering this evening is timeout. So when it comes to the timeout law, and this is according to the laws of cricket, the laws of cricket wants the incoming batter to be ready to receive the ball, or for the other batter to receive the next ball within 3 minutes of the dismissal, or if a batter retired. If this requirement is not met, incoming batter on appeal to be given out, timed out. So the incoming batter to receive the ball within 3 minutes of the dismissal. Tom, thank you so much. That's all that I'm covering in terms of the revision slides. I'm now handing over to you.
Thank you very much, Abdullah, and good evening to all the candidates. I am now going to go through quite a lot of information, so please stay tuned, ladies and gents. I'm going to share my entire screen as we will be flipping from one program to the next. I'm going to start with our timetable for the course, which you will have seen on the first lecture. And I'm going to jump down to where we are today and talk through the process for the next couple of weeks, which is where and how you will become Cricket South Africa Level 1 umpiring accredited. So today is Monday, the 11th of December. We're going through a laws revision and online exam demonstration. Can I just ask that everybody please keep their microphones on mute until we get to the questions and answer session at the end of the lecture. The lectures, as you know, are free and are available on YouTube for you to self-study for the exam. If you would like to write the exam, an exam fee is payable. It is 300 South African rands for all candidates in South Africa. If you are outside of South Africa, the exam fee is either $30 US or 500 South African rands if you are able to pay in rands. The deadline to make payment for the exam is Sunday, the 17th of December at 1800 hours South African time. That is the same time that all our lectures have started, so you know what time that is in your local time zone. It is important that all candidates who make payment for the exam send me a proof of payment, whether you've made payment via electronic funds transfer or via PayPal. Please send your proof of payment to training@wpcua.co.za. I do not have access to the Western Province Cricket Umpires Association bank account, so I will not be able to check who has paid. The only way I'll be able to know who has paid or which email addresses have been paid for is by the emails I receive of proof of payments to training@wpcua.co.za. You are able to pay for more than one candidate at a time. So you can combine 2, 3, 5, 10, 15, 20 exam fees into one payment. When you forward me the proof of payment of that set of payments, you need to tell me on the email who or which email addresses are being paid for. Why? Because the next day, Monday the 18th of December at 8 a.m. South African time, I will send exam link emails to all the email addresses who have sent proof of payment or payment has been made on their behalf and they are on a list of payments made up until Sunday, 17 December. Quite often what I get is automated proofs of payment from banks that says that John has paid. We have about 5 Johns on this email list for the level 1 course. So I don't know which John that is. You need to generate the proof of payment and send it to your email address, and then from there forward it to training@wpcua.co.za. I hope that makes sense. A few of you are school teachers or coaches and will have your school paying for your exam. If you require an invoice, please send all the invoicing details to training@wpcua.co.za anytime this week, the earlier the better, so that I can send you an invoice so that your school can pay for you. And again, when your school pays for you, ask them to send you the proof of payment and you can forward it to training@wpcua.co.za. So Monday morning, 8 a.m. South African time, the 18th of December, I will be sending exam link emails to all the email addresses that have been paid for. And that will start the 10-day window period for the exam. You have up to 5 attempts during those 10 days to achieve the pass mark of 80%. There are 69 questions. All of them are true or false or multiple choice questions. So you do not have to memorize any measurements. You do not have to memorize any laws. You just need to recognize what is correct and what is incorrect from what you have learned. And if you go through the revision lecture that Abdullah has just given us, you will easily be able to get a minimum of 56 out of 69, which is 80%. Please note that if you pass on your first attempt, you will not have more attempts to try and improve your mark. That will be the end of your exam window period. The results are displayed immediately online after you have submitted your answers. And if you pass getting 56 or more out of 69, your certificate will automatically be emailed to me on training@wpcua.co.za. I won't be able to check that inbox all day, every day. I will commit to forwarding certificates to you on a daily basis at 8 a.m. from Tuesday, the 19th of December until Friday, the 29th of December. So please, if you pass your exam on Monday, the 18th of December at 5 p.m. South African time, please do not WhatsApp me to ask me to forward you your certificate. I will forward it the next morning at 8 a.m. to all passers who have passed on the previous day or in the previous 24 hours. If you use up all 5 of your attempts and you do not achieve the pass mark of 80%, you will need to pay an extra exam fee if you want another 5 attempts to pass your exam. That fee will be 100 South African rands or $10 US. Please do not try and make that payment online. You just need to do it the same way that you've made your original payment and send me the proof of payment to training@wpcua.co.za. A little bit of advice is, if you attempt an exam on Monday, the 18th of December, and you do not pass, I suggest that you take a break. A couple of hours later, go through the revision lecture again, watch it in its entirety before attempting the exam again. I find that when candidates reattempt the exam immediately after their failed attempt, they generally will not pass on the attempt that is immediately after their failed attempt. Okay, you need to take a break. Your brain will be frazzled, and quite often the changes that you make to your answers might actually be changing correct answers to incorrect rather than the other way around. So relax, you've got 10 days. Take your time, watch the revision lecture before each attempt. Please also do not wait until the last day of the window period, Thursday, the 28th of December, to start your first attempt, because then you will be rushed, you'll be in a panic, and you probably won't pass. 10 days feels like a long time, but there's Christmas in between. Make sure that you attempt it somewhere in that first week, Monday to Friday, 18 to, I think, 23 or 24 December. Okay. When the exam window period closes on the 28th of December, that night, I will email all the passers the next steps to becoming an umpire. You will need to, once you've received your certificate, tell me where in the cricketing world you are based. So are you based in Mumbai? Are you based in Melbourne? Are you based in Montreal, or are you based in Cape Town, South Africa? I will then make sure that everyone who wants to become an umpire, I get an email address for the contact in the Umpires Association closest to you. Okay, so if you are in Harare, Zimbabwe, I will give you the contact of the umpires manager or trainer in Harare, Zimbabwe, and you can forward your Cricket South Africa Level 1 umpiring certificate and request to become an umpire in the association closest to you. A lot of people make the mistake of telling me which country they are in. There are more than one umpires association in each cricketing country around the world. So please be specific in which town or city you are based, and of course, which country that town or city is. Quite often what I find is when I publish the list on the at the end of the window period, that's when people wake up and realize, oh, I didn't tell Tom that I am based in Nelspruit in Mpumalanga in South Africa. And now, after the fact, you ask me for a contact in that region. Please, guys, when I send you your certificate, I'm going to ask you if you want to become an umpire. Please reply to that email telling me where you are based, so that by the 28th of December, I have everybody's location who wants to become an umpire, and I can help them with the contact to do so. If you are in Cape Town, there is a simple process where I will send you the application form to join Western Province Cricket Umpires Association. For all level 1 passes, you will automatically be added to the level 2 mailing list, which will start sometime in May 2024. You will be emailed a week before the first lecture. I don't know exactly when in May it will start, but you will receive an email invite with the Microsoft Teams meeting link. You do not have to ask for it. If you are not interested in level 2, then you can simply reply to that email in May 2024 asking to be taken off the mailing list for level 2. So please don't panic when in April 2024 you haven't got an email yet. You will only receive the email for level 2 a week before the course starts in May 2024. Right, so that is the logistics from here on in. If there are any questions, please put them in the chat box. And we will, after the demonstration, go through the chat box. And I will be also taking questions by hand. So I'm going to unshare and then reshare for me to make a click-by-click demonstration of how to register, log in, and also start answering the questions online for the Cricket South Africa Level 1 umpiring exam. I am just currently sending myself a link, and then I will take you through the process step by step. So it's tom.training2023@gmail.com. And the reason that I am using a new funny email address is that this program can only send an exam link email once to a unique email address. Okay, so if you have registered for an exam before, it will not send you that email. It will not send an exam link email to that email address. Okay, so you need to give me a unique email address. And that is why also when you send your proof of payment, I need to have unique email addresses. Right, so there you have it. I've logged into my new email account, tom.training2023@gmail.com. You saw me sending the exam link email or generating an exam link email from Umpires Universe. And the exam link email that I've sent myself is not the Cricket South Africa Level 1 umpiring exam. It is the Introduction to Umpiring exam. Why? Because we're going to go through this exam, and obviously we cannot go through an exam that you will be writing next week. So this is one level below level 1. However, the registration, the login, and the process to answer the questions in this exam is exactly the same as the process to answer Cricket South Africa's Level 1 umpiring exam. So without any further ado, this is what you'll receive at 8 a.m. South African time on Monday, the 11th of, Monday, the 18th of December. It will be, you have enrolled in a course, not Introduction to Umpiring, it will be Level 1. And it will come from Umpires Universe, it won't come from me. If you don't find it in your inbox, please check your spam or junk folders. So you click on the email, and what's important here is there's a big button that says log in, but you cannot log in until you've registered for the exam. Okay, so that's the first thing that we're going to do, is we are going to register for the exam. And only after we have registered and we've activated our account on Umpire's Universe can we then log in. Okay, so a lot of people think that after receiving this email, they can go straight and click on login, but no, that's not the case. We need to register first. So I'm going to click on register. And what's important here is in the email address, you type in the email address that you sent me your proof of payment from, okay? And that is the email address that I'm going to enroll. And that is the email address that you need to use to register. Okay, so we're not logging in first. We are enrolling. Okay, so tom.training 2023 at gmail.com. And if your email address has got a dot in it, please put the dot in. Otherwise, I will have enrolled an email address with a dot, and you will try and register with an email address that doesn't have a dot. And you will find that when you log in, there's no exam waiting for you to execute. So please, guys, the email address has to be exactly as you have sent it to me. I'm just going to use my own normal password. And I think it requires a special character and a number and caps. So please make it quite a secure password. You need to agree to the terms of use, and then you can sign up. Now what you'll see is a user has been created. This means we are now registered. Please check your email, and now we're going to confirm our registration. Just go to the inbox, and there you see it's all pretty quick. I need to confirm my email address as registered. It's pretty straightforward. Confirm the account, and now it says account verified, and now it takes me to the login page. Now I can log in and start my exam. Again, exactly the same email address that you have registered with, and it's going to autofill my password for me. Thank you very much, Apple Mac. And I am now going to log in. Please, I cannot emphasize enough that your email address has to be exactly the same as the one that you send me the proof of payment. If there is a letter difference, if there's a dot difference, if there's any character is not the same, make sure you don't add a space after .com as well. That also throws the process out. So now when I log in, I am officially registered, and it tells me that I have been registered for the Introduction to Umpiring course. You will be registered for the Cricket South Africa Level 1 course, which is green. So this is what you should see once you log in. Not Introduction to Umpiring, it will say Cricket South Africa Level 1. But of course, as you saw earlier, I've registered myself for Introduction to Umpiring exam. So now we're going to view course, and there's still a little bit more admin left before we can start the exam. And I'll take you through that admin step by step. Here it is. We need to fill in all our details now. So we've registered our account, but now we are basically registering for the exam. So very important here. This that you are typing in under your full name, first name and last name is what you want to see on your certificate. Okay, so my full name is Thomas Chobokwane and my surname is Mokorosi. So if I want to have my middle name on my certificate, I'll type in my middle name next to my first name. If you don't want to have your middle name, then you don't type in your middle name. But please do not use your nickname. Do not use what your friends or your partner calls you. Use your full name, preferably as listed on your identification card or passport. But you don't have to use your middle name unless you want to. It's entirely up to you, but all I suggest is your full first name and your full surname. Date of birth is quite tricky to get to your date of birth. If you were to try and flick through the months, it will take you a long time to get to your year. So what you do is here, if you hover over the year, then you can just scroll down through the years. And now I'm giving away my age. I don't know how far back it goes, but it goes far back enough for me. And I'm not born in June 1981. I'm born in February 1981 on a Monday, the 9th. And there we got to my date of birth within a few seconds. Please remember that there are these scroll up or down buttons for the year, and then you scroll left or right for the month. Race, either African, colored, Indian, white, or other. Other, I would say, is Far East Asian. There's no such option. The rest are pretty self-explanatory. So I'm African and I'm male and I am in Cape Town. You can put in whatever city you are in around the world. And if you are in South Africa, then please also put in whichever province you are in South Africa. If you are not in South Africa, then please select Western Cape because we don't have counties or states or provinces outside of South Africa listed here. So please put in your city. You can put in Mumbai, you can put in Melbourne, you can put in Nairobi, wherever you are. But for the province, if you are not in South Africa, put Western Cape. If you are in South Africa, put your relevant province. And then we save changes. Very important to try and have as little open as possible in terms of applications that are using the internet so that this website is fast enough. You will see when we are submitting our exam answers that it does take quite a while in the background to calculate whether your answer is correct or not. So do try and use a fast internet connection. And also, it's preferable to use a laptop or a desktop computer. You can also use a tablet and you can also use your phone. However, it is rather difficult to navigate through this exam using your phone. I know a couple of people who've done it, but the recommended device to use is a computer. If you don't have a computer, you can use a tablet, or if you don't have a tablet either, you can use your mobile phone. So once you've put in all your details, click on Save Changes. And once you have clicked on Save Changes, then you can go back to my courses on the right. Okay. And now we will be ready to start the exam. We click on view course. And remember the last time that we clicked on view course that it took us to the page where we've just been and we had to fill in all our details. But now because all our details are filled in, we have a test that is ready for us to start. There's an introductory video here, but you don't need to go through that. We shall go straight into the crunch, which is take test. Again, just remember that this might be a little bit different for level 1. For level 1, you will remember that you have 90 minutes. For this particular exam, we have 30 minutes. And the way we're going to revise or complete our revision lecture today is I am going to ask all of you to help me to answer this exam. So when I click on take test, it's going to start the exam and it's going to start counting down from 30 down to 0. I'm going to ask you all if you would like to answer a question to raise your virtual hand. Abdullah will facilitate the candidates who will answer the question. All of these for this particular exam, the introduction to umpiring exam, are true or false questions. Remember that you will have multiple choice questions in the level 1 exam, but these 35 questions, if I'm not mistaken, are all true or false questions. And Abdullah alluded to the fact that if a statement is not 100% true, then you must mark it false. Okay, so let's just keep that in mind when we are answering these questions that are going to appear. And before I start the test, I'm just going to close all the other websites running in the background so that we are only using as much internet as possible for the particular test. I'm also going to close all other applications that I have open. So now we have full use of the internet by this test, and let's see how fast it runs. So Abdullah, please have a look for me in the meeting room who has their hands up. I expect numerous volunteers as the questions are pretty straightforward in this exam. However, as you can see, it does take a little bit of a while to load up. So this can become frustrating, but please bear with me. And also when you are doing the exam, make sure you've got a quick internet connection so that from one question to the next, it doesn't take too long to load the page. Before we start, the most important part of the exam, apart from answering the questions, is we need to select our provincial association. Now, this is very important because this determines where your certificate is sent to. So the first thing we need to do is to agree to the terms of use, and then we need to click on please select so that we can drop down to Western Province. These are all the umpiring associations in South Africa. And yes, you might be in Paarl and you would think that you would click on Boland. You might be in Bloemfontein and you think that you need to click on Free State. You might be in Polokwane and think that you need to click on Limpopo. But no, for me to receive your certificate, you need to all click on Western Province. Whether you're in Mumbai, whether you're in Melbourne, whether you're in Nairobi, or whether you're in Cape Town, whether you're in Durban, or whether you're in Pretoria, for this exam, please click on Western Province so that when you pass, your certificate is emailed to me, training@wpcua.co.za, automatically. If you click on any other Umpires Association in South Africa, your certificate will be sent to another trainer in South Africa. It won't be sent to me, and I won't forward it to you because I won't have it. And you will be wondering after 24 hours when you still haven't received your certificate why I haven't forwarded it to you. That is because I haven't received it. So please, ladies and gentlemen, all of you writing the exam between the 18th and the 28th of December 2023, click on Western Province as your association. I hope I've got that point across strongly. Abdullah, let us start the test and give the candidates an indication of the questions that they will be dealing with in the level 1 umpiring exam next week. I'm just going to switch on the lights. So, Abdullah, as mentioned, true or false questions for this particular exam. A reminder, if a statement is not 100% true, you should mark it false. The first statement is, umpires are the sole judges of fair and unfair play. Abdullah, do we have any hands up to answer this question?
Yes, Tom, we have many hands up. The quickest on the draw was Nitin. Nitin, can you unmute your microphone and provide us with the answer, please?
It's true, sir.
Indeed, it is true, Nitin. This was covered by Abdullah a few minutes ago this evening. Thank you very much for your answer. All the best for the exam. I've clicked on true and then I've clicked on submit. You notice that it does take a little bit of a while to switch over to the next question. Please be patient. It is an open book exam for level 1, so you are able to have a look at the presentation that I will send of the revision slides. But if you take too long, then it'll cut you off and you'll only be marked on the answers that you submitted. Question 2, Abdullah. Captains are responsible for their team's conduct. True or false? Hands, please.
Tom, there's quite a few hands. Sorry, number 1 in the queue is PJ. PJ, can you unmute your microphone and provide us with the answer, please?
It is true.
Thank you, PJ. Well done. I'm happy with that. I'm going to submit. It's going to take a while to tick over to the next question. Please mute your microphone. And Abdullah, the next question for the next candidate should come up anytime now. My internet is not as fast as it should be tonight. Normally doesn't take that long, but our time is ticking down. So let's keep going. Statement number 3, it is not against the spirit of the game to dispute an umpire's decision. Please, ladies and gents, mute your microphones. I'm hearing a lot of blurring in the background. Abdullah will ask you to unmute when it is your turn to answer. Abdullah, hands, please.
Lots of hands, Tom. First on the draw was Tapiwa. Tapiwa, can you unmute your mic?
Thank you. It's true.
It is not against the spirit of the game to dispute umpire's decision. Be careful when you've got a negative statement, Tapiwa. Do you want to rethink that answer? Tapiwa, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm still here. So it's false.
That is correct. You need to read the question.
Thank you.
You need to read the statement carefully. Take your time. Don't rush. Yes, it is a bit frustrating that it takes a while for the one question to tick over to the next, but you need to be careful when reading the questions or the statements, especially when it is a negative statement. Think it through slowly and carefully before answering. Next question, Abdullah. Teams are allowed to distract opponents verbally. True or false? Hands, please.
Quite a few hands. Quickest on the draw is Saul Botha.
Charles, you may unmute your microphone. Please help us answer the question. Charles, are you able to unmute your microphone? We can't hear you. Abdullah, let's take the next hand, please.
Pradeep was next in the queue. Tom?
Sorry, it's false.
That is correct, Pradeep. Teams are not allowed to distract opponents verbally. Thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed the course. Let's move on to the next question. Spinning from one to the next. Again, a little bit of hang time. Question number 5. A team can field with 12 players. Abdullah covered this clearly this evening. Hands, please. Abdullah, true or false?
Lots of hands, Tom, but Salim was quickest on the draw. Salim, can you unmute your mic?
Yeah, it's false.
Quite right, Salim. We all know that law only allows for a maximum of 11 players to be on the field at any given point in time. Well done. All the best for the exam.
Well done.
Thank you for your participation. Please mute your microphone, Pradeep. Next question. Umpires before the toss do not need to determine the times of play. True or false? Next hand, please, Dula.
First hand I saw was JJ. JJ, can you unmute your microphone, please?
Yeah, that is false.
That is false, JJ. They do need to determine the times of play along with the captains, or at least inform the captains at the toss. That is one of the duties of the umpires. Well done. Thank you for your input. All the best for the exam. And let's go through to the next question. Our time is ticking. We're down to 23 minutes left. Question 7. The bowler's end umpire needs to stand anywhere where he or she feels comfortable. True or false, Dula? Next hand, please.
First hand up was Panakalu Vangala.
Yeah, it's a false.
Why would you say this is false, Panakala?
So umpires are designated to stand in a position where they are not able to. They shouldn't be interfering with any with the ball or run up, or So they cannot stand anywhere they want. Or I can rephrase it, say that they can stand in a place where they are not interfering with them. So
that's correct, Panakala. Well done. This is not a complete statement. I think the complete statement, apart from comfort, it needs to be where they are able to make the decisions they require to make, and also not interfere with the striker's view or the bowler's run-up. So well done. It's not 100% true, so we mark it false. You will notice underneath the true or false, it says here test 24. So in the level 1 exam, there are 69 questions. And if you do not pass at your first attempt, you will have another attempt with the same 69 questions, but in different order. So the order is determined by what test number it is. So don't be scared when you see that question 1 for your first attempt is not the same as question 1 for your second attempt. The questions are reordered for your separate attempts. Question number 8. Dead ball signal is made by extending both arms horizontally. Abdullah, is that a dead ball signal? True or false? Next hands, please.
Ramiro Naidu, first hand up. Can you unmute your mic and provide us with the answer, please?
The answer is false on that one.
Thank you very much, Ramira. Well answered, correct. We will submit false and we shall move on to the next question. All the best for your exam. I hope you've enjoyed the course. Once again, a little bit of a delay before the next question. Here it is. Question number 9. An umpire may signal 4 buys in one motion to the scorers. So can we signal 4 buys, one hand signaling buys, the other hand signaling boundary 4? Abdullah, true or false? Next hand, please.
Isaac's hand was up first. Isaac,
please
your hand
unmute
was
your
up
microphone.
first.
Sounds like Isaac is not available. Oh, his mic is malfunctioning. Abdullah, next hand, please.
Number 2 was Samil Amir.
I can say that is false.
That is correct. We need to signal each signal separately and wait for the acknowledgement from the scorers before making the next signal. Well done and thank you, Shamir. All the best for the exam. And we hope you'll become an umpire signaling correctly soon. Question number 10, or statement number 10. The pitch length is the same for all ages. Abdullah, true or false? We learnt about this, I think, in lecture number 2. It was not in our revision slides this evening because it's not examined in the Cricket South Africa Level 1 exam, but it is in the Introduction to Umpiring exam. Next hand, please.
First hand up, Tonye Timenadi.
The answer is false.
That's correct, Tonye. For junior cricket, the governing body may decide what length the pitch is. So definitely the pitch length is not necessarily the same for all ages. Thank you for your answer, Tonye. I'm glad you got on today. I see you were having trouble logging in. All the best for the exam, and we'll see you on the field soon, I'm sure. Next question or statement, number 11. A change of innings will be classified as an interval. We did see a slide showing us all the scheduled intervals. Abdullah, true or false? Next hand, please.
Tom, I see a few old hands. Just giving it a few more seconds to see if I do see 1 or 2 new hands. If not, I'm going to go to the old hands. Or not old hands, but those that answered already. David, don't think we've asked you to answer tonight. David, can you unmute your microphone, please?
You hear me?
Yes, we can
It's
now,
true.
David. Go ahead. That is true.
It's actually David. It's true.
Change of innings is classified as an interval. Thank you very much, Mr. Davids. All the best for the exam, and we hope to see you on the field a week after you've received your Cricket South Africa Level 1 umpiring certificate. Next question. Bowlers and umpire to call play after any interval or interruption. True or false, Dula? Next hand, please.
A few old hands, Tom. I just saw a new hand. I just hope I'm pronouncing this name correctly. Samanjin, can you unmute your microphone and provide us with the answer? I apologize if I didn't pronounce your name correctly. Samanjit, can you unmute your microphone and provide us with the answer, please?
Yeah, answer is true.
That is true. The start of any session after an interval or an interruption, umpire should call play. Our timer is down to 15 minutes. We are halfway through the time allocated. We are not halfway through the questions. So we will probably see what happens if you run out of time during your Cricket South Africa Level 1 exam. Next statement, number 13. A striker may set off for a run from in front of the popping crease. This we learnt about in Law 18, the scoring of runs. Abdullah, is that true or false? Do we have any new hands to take us through this one, please?
So far, only one hand, Tom, but it's not a new hand. Let's give it a few more seconds to see if I see any new hands. I see a few old hands.
Please, we encourage all participants to raise their hands and give it a shot. Rather you make a mistake here in a demonstration than in the Cricket South Africa Level 1 exam. Don't be shy. We're here to support you all the way.
I do see a new hand, Tom. Adabi, can you unmute your microphone and provide us with the answer, please?
Yeah, good evening.
Adabi Ebenezer.
The answer,
Good evening to you.
yeah, good evening. Good evening. The answer is true.
The answer is true. Quite a few batters bat from outside of the popping crease. They do not need to go back into the popping crease before they set off for a run. So this is definitely true. Thank you very much for your input. All the best for your exam. We will see you on a cricket field sooner rather than later, hopefully. Next statement,
thank you.
number 14. Umpires do not need to agree the boundaries with the captains. Abdullah, true or false? Any new hands?
Yes, Patricia, I see a new hand. And Patricia, can you unmute your microphone and provide us with the answer, please, Patricia? Patricia, unmute your mic and provide us with the answer. The floor is yours. Tom, I'm not sure if Patricia is able to unmute. I don't see any new hands. I'm going to go to second in the queue, who was Nitin.
The false it is. Umpire needs to discuss the boundaries with the captain
That's correct,
before the toss.
Nitin. One of the duties at the toss. Well done.
Before the toss.
First class umpiring coming through from Nitin. All the best for the exam if you'll be writing with us. I'm sure
Thank
you
you,
will ace it.
Thank you.
Next question is statement number 15. The ball becomes dead when it lodges in the clothing of an umpire. True or false? Abdullah, any new hands? I always get this one confused. Let's see if our candidates can help me out.
I don't see any new hands, Tom. I'll just give it a few more seconds. Hopefully I see a new hand. I see a new name, Kevin. Kevin, can you unmute your microphone and provide us with the answer, please?
Kevin, please repeat. You sounded quite muffled. It is true, Kevin. I've just double-checked it in the law book. The ball becomes dead when it becomes lodged in the clothing of a batter or the clothing of an umpire. So well done, Kevin. All the best for the exam and hope to see you on the park soon, wherever in the cricketing world you might be. Next statement is statement number 16. And you saw how quick it was for me to check my law book for that, but you need to know where in your law book to find the answers. Statement number 16, a bowler may change his delivery mode without informing the umpire. Abdullah, true or false, please? Next.
We do have a new hand, Tom. There's lots of hands, but we do have a new one. That's number 1 in the queue, Ryan Fulton. Ryan, can you unmute your mic, please? Hello,
Yes, I would say that is false. He needs to inform the umpire.
That's correct, Ryan. Well spotted. Thank you very much for your answer and your input. All the best for the exam. And I'm sure based on how quickly and confidently you answered that question, you will ace the Cricket South Africa Level 1 umpiring exam. Next question, next statement, number 17. This is to do with a no ball. The bowler's back foot may touch the return crease on delivery. True or false, Abdullah? You covered it quite thoroughly this evening.
First hand up. There's a few old hands, but I don't think Ranveer, this is the first time I think we're asking you to answer a question. So Ranveer, can you unmute your microphone and provide us with the answer, please? Ranveer, I see you unmuted, but I don't think I've heard the answer. Did you hear the answer, Tom?
No. Radio silence from Ranveer.
Although I can see he's unmuted, but I didn't hear anything.
We'll have to go to the next candidate, please, Abdullah.
Next hand I see is Sailesh Sethi.
Good evening, Tom and Abdullah. My answer is
Good
false.
evening.
False is correct. The bowler's foot may not touch the return crease on delivery. Otherwise, as Abdullah explained earlier this evening, a no ball will be called by the bowler's end umpire. Thank you very much, Sailesh. All the best for the exam. I'm sure you'll do well. Next statement.
Thank you.
Number 18. The call of no ball shall override the call of wide. True or false, Abdullah? Hopefully a new hand.
Yeah, quickest on the draw was Ranveer. So Ranveer, I hope we don't have microphone issues with this one. Can you unmute and provide us with the answer? Ranveer, we still can't hear you. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why.
Can you hear me now, Abdullah, Tom?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yeah,
Go
now we
ahead,
can hear
Ranveer.
you loud and clear.
Yeah, no ball call shall override. It is true.
That is true, Ranveer. Thank you very much for your answer and your input throughout this course. We might or might not have time to go through your video questions that you sent me earlier today. Please bear with us. The priority is obviously to get through the questions about the exam this evening. Next question is number 19. Umpire to call wide before the ball passes the striker's wicket. Abdullah mentioned this in Law 22. Is it true or false? Any fresh hands to take us through this one, Abdullah?
The first fresh hand that I see, Tom, is Alex. Alex, can you unmute your microphone, please, and provide us with the answer?
The answer would be false.
That is correct, Alex. We need to wait until the ball has passed the striker's wicket before we call and signal wide, because it might just touch any part of the striker's bat or person if we call it too early, and then we will be left with egg on our face by calling wide when there was contact with the bat or person. Thanks, Alex. All the best. Next statement, number 20. A batter can be dismissed from a wide delivery. I think Abdullah showed us a nice slide as to how many modes of dismissal a batter can be dismissed off a wide delivery. So this is a pretty easy one. True or false, Abdullah? Next hand, please.
First new hand that I'm seeing is Palachanda.
This is true. If I'm not mistaken, there are 4 ways that a batter can be dismissed from a wide delivery. I will not ask you to name them, but remember that it is in the Cricket South Africa Level 1 online umpiring exam, so make sure you know which of the dismissals are possible off a wide. Next statement, number 21, a leg bye can be scored if the batter does not attempt to play the ball. Abdullah, true or false? We went through this in detail in Law 23.
No new hands, Tom. Lots of old ones. I'm just looking to see if I can see a new hand. Luto, I see a new hand. Luto, can you unmute your microphone and provide us with the answer, please, Luto? Tom, can you hear Luto? I can hear some background noise, but I can't actually hear him.
Yeah, same, Abdullah. No voice coming through there.
Okay, let's go to the list. I don't see any new names. Number 1 in the queue is Pradeep. Pradeep, can you unmute your microphone, please?
No. False.
That is correct, Pradeep. There are 2 conditions where leg byes can be awarded: if the batter plays a shot or takes evasive action and the ball hits his or her bat or person, then only can we allow leg byes. Thanks, Pradeep. Next statement, an injured player may have a substitute at any time. Is this statement 100% true? If not, we mark it false. Abdullah, any new hands, please?
Yes, I see a new hand, Tom. Mani. Mani, can you unmute your microphone and provide us with the answer, please?
Yes, this is true.
Mani, please repeat. I didn't quite hear that.
This is true.
Okay, Mani, remember what we said? We said that if a statement is not 100% correct, we need to mark it false. Do you think that this statement is 100% correct? Is it full, or are there some conditions that need to be met for a substitute to be allowed? This statement on its own suggests that a substitute can come on for an injured player at any time. Yeah, actually, I think you're right. Sorry, I didn't see that it was for an injured player. I thought it was just for a normal player. So I'm going to mark it true, and we will see at the end of this which questions we got right or wrong, which is quite useful information if you didn't pass the exam. So thank you very much for your answer, Mani. Let's move on. Next statement, number 23, will be our last one, seeing that we only have less than 40 seconds left now. And it will allow us to answer this question, and then we will see what happens when our time has expired. Abdullah, a substitute may act as a wicket keeper. True or false?
Hi, Michelle. Good afternoon. My name is Irfanullah Saeed.
Yes, Irfan. How are you?
I think he's speaking to someone else. He forgot to put him on himself on mute, Tom. I think Dr. Said is speaking to someone. Tom, I do see a new hand, Armand. Armand, can you unmute your microphone, please?
Thank you, Abdullah. That's true, Tom.
That is true. If given permission by the umpires. So I'm going to mark it as true, and then we're going to see if it is correct or not, because remember what we have stated is that if a statement is not 100% true, then we should mark it false. So let's mark it as true, and then we will see what happens, first of all, when the time has expired, which it has, and what our answers are given as. So, please, again, I ask for everyone to put their microphones on mute for a better experience for all candidates listening in. So here it shows us what we have answered. There are obviously unanswered questions. It says not completed, not completed, not completed. It shows us true, false, true, false, true, false. And now we go and we click on get results. So I think we answered about 22 questions. 22 out of 35 is 62.8%. And it tells us that we got 60%. So some of the answers that we answered were also incorrect. I don't think we answered that question number 2. I'm looking for the last question that we answered. I'm looking through all the incorrect answers to see if we answered any answer incorrectly. There should be one. A substitute may act as a wicket keeper. We answered it true, but because that statement is not 100% correct, the complete statement is a substitute may act as a wicket keeper by the consent of the umpires. So it is not 100% correct. That means we should have marked it false. Okay. So I think that is the one question which we answered that we got incorrect. I'm just looking through all the other incorrect answers. And it looks like we only got that one answer incorrect. So this actually was going to help you if you do not pass in your first attempt. You will know what you got correct and what you got incorrect. So difficult to memorize everything, but maybe take screenshots. Who knows? That should help. That could help. But remember, do not go immediately into the next attempt because your brain will be frazzled. You will be tired. You need to take a rest. Go through the revision lecture and the revision slides, and I will send those slides tomorrow morning along with all other course material. And then you won't have, if you do want to go immediately, you can click on restart. But if not, then what you do is you go back to your email, the exam link email, and then instead of clicking on register, you click on log in. And then once you click on log in, then you go back to my, once you've logged in, then you go back to my courses, and Cricket South Africa Level 1 umpiring exam will be there. And then you click on view course again. So this is now on your second attempt or your third, fourth, or fifth attempt where you've had a rest. You've restudied the revision lecture, and now you are going to attempt the exam again. You go to the email, you log in, and then you click on my courses, and then you click on take test. And just remember one last time, so that your certificate is sent to the right place, you need to select the Umpires Association Western Province before you start. I don't know if you have to select it before every attempt. That's why I've just clicked on take test for us to see. Yes, you need to agree to the terms, and it will default to the previous association that you selected. So if you had chosen Western Province, leave it there and click on Start Test. If you hadn't chosen Western Province, you need to go click on the drop down and select Western Province. So ladies and gents, that is the process of how to register, log in, sign up your details. Remember to put the name that you want on your certificate, and then also how to answer and submit questions and view your results immediately after attempting the Cricket South Africa Level 1 umpires exam. I hope that process is clear and straightforward. You need to follow it carefully, especially the registration and the logging in and setting up of your details. If you miss any of those steps, you will not be able to write the exam. And also, what's important is if you are stuck or if you find that there is no exam when you click on my courses, then you've done something wrong in the process and you need to go back from the start, step by step. Make sure you follow it as I have demonstrated this evening. It's very difficult for me to know where you've gone wrong in the process. But if you do go wrong in the process, send me screenshots of where in the process you are, and I'll try and help you. But if you go step by step through the process, you should be able to attempt the exam successfully. Right, so thank you for your attention. Let us now go through the questions in the chat box before we go to the hands in the meeting room. We had a few connection issues at the start, so apologies again for that. We eventually managed to sort it out. Abdullah, I have answered some of the questions. I thought we might take long to go through your revision slides as well as my demonstration, but we do have time for the questions that are in the chat box. Sandeep would like to know, would a combination of rollers be allowed? For example, can the captain who's about to bat ask for 3 minutes of rolling using the light roller and 4 minutes of rolling using the heavy roller? Abdullah, please remind us of the procedure when rolling. Abdullah, you can
Yes, Tom.
unmute.
Yeah, I would. Thanks, Tom. Rookie error. The procedure, according to the law, is when it's time for rolling. Let's say there's a change of innings. The batting captain at the time has a choice of rollers. So at international and provincial level, there's usually more than one roller available. So the batting captain at the time has the choice of, let's say there are 3 rollers available, a big, a medium, and a hand roller. And let's say the batting captain chose the big roller. So batting captain say big roller. You then need to ask how long. There's a max of 7 minutes. And you then need to relay that message to the curator that batting captain wants big roller for 7 minutes. Yeah, so usually if the captain chooses a roller, you inform the curator, and that is the roller that the curator will use for 7 minutes. There's nowhere in the law that actually says you can only use a specific roller, but I do know in practice that if you do decide to use a particular roller and inform the curator, then that is the roller that the curator will use for the entire duration that you chose. I can't think of that a groundsman. If you must tell the curator that please use the big roller for 2 minutes, the medium roller for 3 minutes, and the hand roller for 1 minute, I think a few swear words is going to come out of the curator's mouth if that is your request. So in practice, you choose your roller, inform the curator, and that roller will be used for the duration that you chosen, max 7 minutes. Over, Tom.
Thanks, Jula. I actually went looking up the law just to double check. And law 9.1.3 reads as follows: choice of rollers. If there is more than one roller available, the captain of the batting side shall choose which one is to be used. So the law is actually quite specific that only one type of roller is allowed. No problem. I also wasn't sure. That's why I went and double checked it. So the groundsman can actually throw the law book at a captain who asks for more than one roller. This one I couldn't find in the law book, Abdullah, and I think this is where a little bit of common sense needs to be used. Can the captain demand only half the length of the pitch to be rolled? So only the one end and not the other. Another question from Sandeep about rolling.
Yeah, again, that also not covered, or I haven't seen that particular instance covered in the law, but I do know practically. So once you decide on your roller, then the pitch to be rolled for the duration that you you chose. Over, Tom.
Perfect. Thanks, Dula. Happy with that. Next question is from Halvin. He does not specify which interval he is referring to. So maybe let's just specify the 3 or 4 different intervals. What happens if a team gets bowled out 13 minutes before the interval? Will you return for 1 over, Abdullah? Yeah, let's go through tea, lunch, end of play, and also drinks.
Yes, Tom, let's go through the various intervals. So I'll start with the lunch interval. So if an innings ends with 10 minutes or less to go to lunch, you will then take lunch. In this instance, I think you said he used 13 minutes, Tom. So did you say 3 minutes before lunch?
30, yeah. So the innings ends 13 minutes before lunch, 1-3.
Okay, innings ends 3 minutes before lunch. So the law guides us by telling us it needs to be 10 minutes or less if an innings if an innings ends. In this instance, the innings ended 13 minutes before lunch. So because it's not less than 10 minutes or less, there will be a 10-minute change of innings from, let's say our lunch is at 12 o'clock, from 11:47 up until 11:57. That will be our 10-minute change of innings. First ball of the new innings needs to be bowled at 11:57. We will then play, and I'm sure we should probably only get in 1 over before lunch. So we will then play, complete that over. Over will probably end either 12 o'clock or 12:01, which then we will take lunch. If it was a spinner bowling and that spinner bowled a 2-minute over from 11:57 till 11:59, if the umpire at strikers end gets into position before 12 o'clock, then another over to be bowled. So that is lunchtime, where it needs to be, an innings needs to end within 10 minutes or less for you to take an early lunch. Otherwise, you need to come back, have a 10-minute change of innings, and then play an over or 2. Let's move on to tea time. Now the law slightly different with tea when it comes to an innings, if there's a change of innings or innings ending, whereas with lunch it's 10 minutes or less. Tea time now, it's 30 minutes or less before the tea interval. So if our tea is at 3 o'clock and at 14:47, 13 minutes before tea, a side gets dismissed. This is now within 30 minutes of tea. We will then take an early tea. Tea will then be from 14:47 until 15:07. 20 minutes tea interval, and the change of innings interval will be incorporated into the lunch into the tea interval. End of day's play. Let's say it's 5 o'clock. At 16:47. I'm using the same example. 13 minutes before close of play. So at 16:47, there's an innings change. So we get guided by the law, where the law tells us if an innings ends 10 minutes or less, that would be end of day's play or stumps for that particular day. But in this instance, it is 13 minutes before the close of play. So now we'll have a 10-minute change of innings from 16:47 until 16:57. The next side will first ball needs to be bowled at 16:57. We will then play up until 5 o'clock. We'll probably only get in 1 over, and once that over is done, it will be stumps for that day according to the laws. Lastly, the drinks interval. Let's use our test match as an example. Our sessions are usually from 10, 2-hour sessions, so from 10 till 12. drinks is midway, which is 11 o'clock. So at 10:55, there's a change of inning. Let's use 13 minutes before 11 o'clock. Let's say at 10:47, there's a change of innings. So a drink's supposed to have happened at 11 o'clock, but there's now a change of innings at 10:47. There will now be a 10-minute change of innings from 10:47 up until 10:57. First ball needs to be bowled in the new innings at 10:57. So originally our schedule's drinks was at 11 o'clock, but now our inning starts at 10:57. We'll bowl probably one over, and we'll get to 11 o'clock. Are we going to take drinks? No, we're not going to take drinks. I mean, we just played one over. There was just a change of innings interval. I'm sure all the players had a refreshment during the change of innings interval. So in this instance, we will not take drinks at 11 o'clock. We will play through until lunch at 12 o'clock. Over, Tom.
Thanks very much, Dula. Next question is from Nitin. Nitin asks if he can get my contact number. Nitin, at the bottom of all my emails is my contact number. So just check any one of my emails and you'll see it. I have also now just put it on the chat box, +27 82 962 0642. Best to WhatsApp text me. I'm often quite busy, so I don't usually take calls. Next question is from PJ. PJ asks, how do we register for the exam? PJ, pretty straightforward. You just need to send proof of payment to training@wpcua.co.za. 300 Rand for South Africans, $30 for those who are not in South Africa. Please, once again, I reiterate, if you are making an electronic funds transfer from your bank, do not get the bank to automatically send the proof of payment to training@wpcua.co.za. Send it to yourself and then forward your proof of payment to training@wpcua.co.za, and I will send on Monday, the 18th of December, 8 a.m. South African time, the exam link email to all of those emails addresses who have been paid for. Okay, so that is how you get yourself on the paid list for the exam link email to receive it on next week, Monday morning, 8 a.m. South African time. CW asks, which account do I pay money into? CW, if you are in South Africa, you pay to the Standard Bank account of Western Province Cricket Umpires Association. All the details are on email. If you haven't got any emails from me, and maybe you got the link for today's meeting via a friend, then please put your email address in the chat box, and I will send you the payment details, whether it's Standard Bank or PayPal for the foreign payments of $30. I will also just add those details in this chat box at the end of tonight's meeting, but they are available on all the emails that I have been sending you. Just scroll down to close to the bottom of that email. Shailesh asks, are all 5 attempts the same question paper or different question paper? Shailesh, as I mentioned, the 69 questions are all the same, but in each attempt, they will be in different order. So also, if you're sitting next to another candidate and you do the exam at the same time, you will get the same 69 questions, but you will not get them in the same order. Okay, so I hope that answers your question. Abdullah, a playing condition question for you in test matches. How many bounces above the shoulder in an over is an bowler allowed to bowl? And if he or she bowls more than the allowed amount, how many, what is the punishment? And Abdullah, I'm feeling quite lonely with the only one with the camera on this evening at the moment. So please feel free to also show your face to the candidates tonight. There we go. There's that big smile.
Okay, Tom. Yeah, I just switched it off because it is. I'm currently in Bloemfontein, South Africa. It is currently raining outside, and the signal is not the strongest in the hotel. That's my only reason why I put the camera off.
Yeah.
Shailesh, this is a playing condition question, and I'm going to answer according to the playing condition. And you do mention test matches, so I'm going to answer what the playing conditions for test match cricket states with regards to bounces. Any bowler is allowed 2 bounces per over in test match cricket. What is seen as a bouncer? Batter standing upright at the popping crease, and if the ball is above the shoulder and head height, that is seen as a bouncer between shoulder and head height. So bowler is allowed 2 of those per over in test match cricket. If the ball is above head height of the batter standing upright in the popping crease, the umpire needs to call wide. So according to the test match playing conditions, you are allowed 2 per over between shoulder and head height. If it's above head height, batter standing upright, you'll call the umpires will call and signal wide ball. So let's say you bowl more than 2 in an over. So you've bowled the first ball of the over was between shoulder and head height. So practically what will happen, the strikers in umpire will indicate to the bowlers in umpire that is 1 for the over. The bowlers in umpire in turn will inform the batter that is 1 for the over, and the bowlers in umpire will also inform the bowler that is 1 for the over. Let's say the third ball of the over again went between shoulder and head height. Same procedure. Strikers in umpire, it's usually strikers in umpire's call because he or she is in the best position with the side-on view to be able to make that call. So strikers in umpire will then indicate to the bowlers in umpire that is another 1 for the over, or that's number 2 for the over. Bowlers in umpire in turn will inform the batter as well as the bowler that is number 2 in the over. So let's say ball number 5. In the same over, the bowler bowls now a ball between shoulder and head height of the striker standing upright at the popping crease. This is now number 3. So now the playing condition states, because this is the third ball that's between shoulder and head height or above shoulder height in the over, the playing condition now guides us by saying this ball will now be called a no ball. And also, if I can go further in the playing condition, because this is now a no ball, you will now need to caution the bowler, saying the bowler, this is a caution for bowling more than 2 bounces above shoulder height in the over. And that caution will apply throughout the innings. So that is the playing condition for test match with regards to bowling short pitch deliveries to the striker standing upright at the popping crease. That's above shoulder height. Over, Tom.
Thank you very much, Abdullah. Next question in the chat box is also from Shailesh. In fact, it's another 2 playing condition or law scenarios. Shailesh, I'm going to skip your scenarios for now, and I'm going to go through questions related to the exam And then when we are done with those, then we will come back if we do have time. The recording will end in 16 minutes, so we need to finish by then. Leon asks, are you going to send the bank details so we can register for the exam? Leon, I have just copied and pasted from the emails that I send all of you onto the chat box the two methods of payment. If you are in South Africa, you can send an electronic funds transfer to our standard bank account, which I have put on display at the bottom of the chat box. If you are outside of South Africa, please pay your $30 using PayPal. If you do not have PayPal or are struggling with PayPal, please ask somebody who has PayPal to pay on your behalf, and you can pay them. Otherwise, you can pay into a First National Bank account, the details of which I have put down at the bottom of this chat box. So 3 different methods for you to use. Ideally, South Africans pay into the standard bank account. Those outside of South Africa pay using PayPal. Pradeep asks, do we have to make separate mail ID for the exam? No, Pradeep, you can use your email address that you have been using for the entire duration of the course. That is in my mailing list. But whichever email address suits you best, forward your proof of payment to me using that email address, and that is the email address that the exam link email will be sent to on Monday morning, the 18th of December, 8 a.m. South African time. David asks, can you change your email address? Exactly the same answer as I've just given to Pradeep. Whichever email address you want the exam link email to be sent to, that is the email address that you should send the proof of payment to training@wpcua.co.za with. I hope that is clear. Tonya asks, when can we have our exams after payment has been made and confirmed successfully? So Tonya, the exam window period is the same for everybody. If you pay today, if you pay tomorrow, if you pay on Sunday, the 17th of December, the deadline is 6 p.m. South African time. It does not make a difference. You will all receive your exam link email on Monday, the 18th of December, 8 a.m. South African time. And the exam window period is for 10 days. So your 5 attempts have to be made anytime between the 18th and Thursday, the 28th of December, 7:59 a.m. is when the exam window period will close. As mentioned, please do not wait until the 27th or the 28th of December to attempt the exam for the first time. You will probably not have enough time to get through all the attempts that you need to pass the exam. So start on the 18th or the 19th, maybe the 20th. Please don't leave it for later than the 24th, I would say, for your first attempt. David asks, where are we paying the money to? David, I have copied and pasted the 3 different payment methods into this chat box, and they will also be, or at least 2 of them will be on the emails that I've been sending regularly. I will send another one tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, you will receive all course material, including the match preparation presentation that Karen took us through last week, Tuesday. You will also receive the revision lecture slides that Abdullah went through this evening. And of course, you have been receiving the entire presentation via WeTransfer on my emails. That link will be refreshed to last the duration of this course until next week, Monday. And next week, Monday, when I send the exam link emails, I will refresh the WeTransfer link for you. So you always have the full presentation available to you. Scrolling further down the chat box, the last message is me copying and pasting the payment methods. So now we can go back to Shaylash's different scenarios to help him with law or playing conditions. Abdullah, the end of play is at 1700, scheduled for 1700. The 9th wicket falls at 1650. If the 10th wicket hasn't fallen by 1700, do we call end of play, or is it similar to lunch or tea where we extend play up until 30 minutes to try and get that 10th wicket, weather and light permitting?
Shailesh, according to the laws of cricket, when the side is 9 wickets down, it only counts for lunch and the tea interval, where you'll extend lunch or tea by 30 minutes. It does not count, according to the laws of cricket, to the end of day's play. So in your example, when you get to 5 o'clock and you finish the over, that will be stumps for the day according to the laws of cricket. Over, Tom.
Thanks, Abdullah. Next scenario by Shailesh. Both bails are dislodged from the stumps, or all 3 stumps are uprooted during play while the ball is still in play. Is the fielding team allowed to put the bails on again or put the stumps back into place to be able to run the batter out? So is the wicket allowed to be remade while the ball is in play, Abdullah?
Yes, Silas. The law allows for the fielding side and only the fielding side to either, let's start with the bails. Let's say the wind blew the bails off while still in play. The law allows for the fielding side to pick up one or both bails, put them back on the stumps, and you can then put the wicket down to dismiss any of the fielders. Also, let's say the other example you used was all 3 stumps uprooted or lying on the floor. Yes, only the fielding side is allowed, while that ball is still in play, to put a stump back in one of the grooves, and then to put the wicket down by taking the ball, the stumps, and uprooted it at the same time. But only the fielding side. Umpires are not allowed, while the ball is still in play, to put bails quickly back on or put quickly stumps back into the ground. The umpires needs to wait until the ball is dead. But fielding side, no problem. They can put bails back on or put a stump or stumps back into the ground. Over, Tom.
Thanks, Abdullah. Thumbs up from Shailesh means that you have answered that question expertly as usual. We've got one more scenario from Shailesh. The scheduled close of play in a Moday game is 1700. The batting team is all out at 1640. Let's stick to one scenario. Do we need to start the next innings at 1650? what is the minimum overs to be bowled when the new innings starts? And how many can we bowl before the call of play on that day, except the last day? Abdullah, maybe let's use a test match playing conditions to answer this question.
I got the answer, same question after someone else. At that time, Abdullah explained everything.
Okay, so you're happy with the previous answer covering that scenario, Shailesh? Great stuff. Okay, I am just scrolling through the rest of the chat box to make sure that I have covered all questions asked. Nitin has also given his answer to Shailash's end of play scenario. So I'm happy that all questions have been answered. I don't see any hands raised. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to address Ranveer's videos that he sent to me. Ranveer's hand is up exactly for that reason. So bear with me while I share my screen, Ranveer, and I will take us through the two scenarios you've sent to me on video. I'm going to So, Abdullah, I hope you saw that scenario. Let me play it again because it started before I introduced it. The bowler has fielded the delivery and then decided to get rid of the ball. What happens when he gets rid of the ball? The batters sneak through for a single. The question that Ranveer had, Abdullah, is whether the ball is still in play. Is it alive? Is it fair for the batters to run that single? Or would you have called and signaled dead ball as the umpire in this scenario? Abdullah, whose decision is it whether the ball is dead or not?
Ranveer, this is up to the bowlers in umpire to decide whether he or she, or in this case it is looks like he, whether he decides that that ball is finally settled in the bowler's hands and that that ball is dead. If that is his decision, that he thinks the ball is dead, then that run should not have been allowed. If he thinks that ball is still alive, he'll then allow the run. So this is again one of those opinion laws. I bet you if you have 100 umpires in a room and you ask them to look at the same clip, you will probably get 50% saying they think the ball is dead, and the other 50% saying they think that ball is still alive. It's an opinion law. The law tells you, in your opinion, if you think that ball is finally settled or dead, that ball is then dead. That run should not have been be allowed. Or the other side of the coin, if you as bowlers in still feel that that ball is still alive, you will then allow that single. So there's no right or wrong answer. It is what you as bowlers in feel, whether you feel that ball is dead or is it still alive. And as I said, I bet you lots of umpires looking at this clip, half will probably say it's dead. The other half would say, I think it's still alive. It's your opinion at that moment.
Abdullah,
Did I answer your
I just wanted
question?
to extend this. Abdullah, I just wanted to extend this. What is the thought process, Abdullah, to get to conclusion that it isn't dead and or it is alive? What is the thought process?
So your thought process is you need to ask yourself whether you think that both sides, fielding side and batters at the wicket, has ceased to regard the ball as still in play. It needs to be both. You need to be happy that you're happy that the fielding side has ceased to regard it as in play, or i.e. still be alive, and that the batters has see the ball still in life. So that is the criteria that you need to look at. So so looking at
As both
this,
the yeah, sorry for the interruption, Abdullah. As both the incident, as like fielding side, bowler has corrected the ball and he has deemed the ball dead. That is the reason he has just rolled the ball. It was the last ball of the over, and he just rolled the ball towards the stump, assuming that it's an over. And even if we see batter here, they they aren't looking for a run till the ball was rolled. And I feel that both of them has regarded the ball to be dead.
so Ranveer, that is your opinion, then the ball is dead. Someone else may be looking at this and think maybe the bowler think he's dead, but they think the batters still think the ball is still in play. That is their opinion. So they still see the ball as alive, and they would have allowed the single. It is your opinion. That's all that counts. You, the bowlers, in you feel that that ball is dead because both batters and fielding side has ceased to regard the ball as in play. Dead ball, run shouldn't have been allowed. No problem. You have the law that backs you up. That's your opinion. Law backs you up. Dead ball, no problem. Did I answer your question, Ranveer?
Yeah, Abdullah. Yes.
Thanks, Dula. Last scenario for this course. Also consider whether the ball is dead or not, or is the striker out stumped. Let's have a look at the scenario. End of the over once again, and the wicketkeeper has not considered the ball to be dead. So what does he do? He goes and stumps the striker, similar to Johnny Bairstow sleeping, walking out of his crease before the umpire called over. Alex Carey in that Ashes Test match had not considered the ball to be dead and stumped Johnny Bairstow out. I would, in this scenario, Ranveer, consider the ball not to be dead. Why? Because the wicketkeeper definitely did not consider the ball as dead, and so he effected a stumping. If the umpire had called over before the wicketkeeper stumped the batter, then the batter would have been saved, but the umpire would have been incorrect in calling over. Because why? You should only call over if the ball is dead. And how do you consider the ball to be dead? If both teams have considered the ball to be dead, only then should you, as the bowlers and umpire, consider the ball dead and call over if it was the last ball of the over. Ranveer, I hope that clears up this issue of the ball being dead or not.
Yeah, Tom.
Thank you for your input and contribution in the entire course. And thank you to all of you for your input and contribution to this course. It has been a lovely 7 lectures, very interactive, and I wish you all the best for your exam. It is not a difficult exam. If you have studied, go through the revision lecture slides that Abdullah went through this evening. I will be sending them to all of you tomorrow morning. The payment details are all on the email, and they are pretty straightforward. There have been already about 20